California, maybe you want some of the best Asian food that you will find in all of the Bay Area in just one city. Perhaps you've been driving by Milpitas before and you're wondering why would anyone live in this area with this kind of smell? Well, my name is Spencer Sue, and in the last 6 years, myself and my team have helped over 260 families with their move all throughout the Bay Area. And I actually grew up in Milpitas, so I know Milpitas very well. So I'm going to be going over today several different things. Why do people choose to live in Milpitas? Number two, on a Google map, everything you need to know about the city itself. Number three, we're going to talk about real estate here. What can you expect when it comes to condos, townhomes, and single family? And then, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments below and I'll be happy to address them all. So let's go over first. Why do so many people choose to want to be in Milpitas? There's a lot of reasons for that. If you look at Milpitas on a map perspective, this is one of the few entry points for you to be able to get to a lot of the places in the peninsula and the South Bay. Every other place along the path here of the East Bay requires you to pay a toll bridge. Going west means you always have to pay a toll bridge. Versus here, you have 237, which is the main corridor for most people to get to offices, especially if the offices are in Sunnyvale, Mountain View, and etc. So that's number one. It's always about where the jobs are at. Number two, it's also about good schools. Milpitas has some of the best schools in the entire Santa Clara County. So a lot of people choose to go because of the school district side of things, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. Number three, it's got really, really diverse and good Asian cuisine all throughout. There's a lot of different plazas that I will show you momentarily. And then four, you can argue that it's generally pretty affordable relative to some of your other options, like in Mountain View, Cupertino, and places like that. So we're going to be going over everything you need to know of Milpitas on a Google map. Now, of course, if you want to go over a game plan for yourself specifically, my contact details are below. Love to see what may work for you, whether you're looking in this city or any other cities. My team covers it all, and we can go over the best game plan for you. Now, let's talk about Milpitas itself. I'm going to start from the top, and I'm going to start from where everybody talks about first, which is the smell. When you notice on the top here, these are the boundaries of Milpitas. Do you notice that the landfill, which is what you smell, why is it not in this actual city perimeter itself? While the address shows it being in the city of Milpitas, it's actually not owned or operated of the city of Milpitas itself. It's actually owned entirely within the city of San Jose. This is part of the challenge and the reason why this does not get relocated, why it does not get moved. It's been like this for decades, right? Because where would San Jose put a landfill? Number one. Number two, why would they bring it closer to themselves when you have this big gap in the middle? So it's always been this debate, or always been like a thing to be contested about, especially the city of Milpitas always having to deal with the smell. Now, the smell, to be fair, have gotten significantly less over time, but there are different parts that you will smell it the most. If you think about the landfill, given it is next to the Highway 880, this is why every time you drive by the highway, you will always smell it because it's so close and this is all open air. But I would challenge you that the more east you go, the less you will smell it. Or the more south you go, the less you will smell it. Interesting enough, even though Warm Springs is equal distance to like the Great Mall, probably Great Mall is quite frankly even closer, the winds tend to go south. So that's why you smell a lot more here, even though Warm Springs, you don't really smell it at that location. So that's number one. Number two, I would say the more east you go, let's say maybe east of kind of Milpitas Boulevard, you're gonna start smelling it a lot less. And that's because one, it has to travel through a lot more homes, a lot more density. I think that's going to be the main reason for that, but just something to be mindful of. It's not all bad, but at the same time, if you're very sensitive to smell, this may not be the city for you. It's one of the very few cities that has to deal with this, which is primarily on the west and kind of the middle parts of Milpitas, whereas the landfill was on the very north. Now, let's talk a little bit more. I'm just going to kind of highlight the main things about the city itself. So we talked about the landfill. You have a nice park here, Dixon Landing Park. We used to play tennis there. There's a decent sized baseball field there. Now it looks like they made a cricket field. They have basketball courts there. A lot of here is going to be a lot of apartments. and single family homes in this vicinity. You have lots of, as I mentioned before, great Asian restaurants all throughout. So in this area, you have basically um, the Lion supermarket. That is the one that's out here, and even across the street, you have additional uh, restaurants and dessert places. Lots of milk tea places, kind of all throughout. So that's kind of this area. This little spot here has been undeveloped for a long, long time. I have no idea what's going on with it. I don't know if they're waiting for something else. There used to be something. There used to be actually commercial places here when I grew up, but no longer there. As we kind of move more east, the biggest thing that we're going to find on this part is Thomas Russell Middle School. You have the elementary school that is also in this vicinity, in this region here. And last but not least, you also have Milpitas High School, which is the only high school for the entire city of Milpitas. So if you lived in an area that's bounded by these, you may literally be just going to places right next to each other, right? It you like I mean literally the elementary, the middle, and the high school may be literally all right next to each other. So if you're a parent that has children and multiple children, it may be really really easy for you to be able to drop your kids on for any of these places because they're literally just across the street from one another. Now that also means this street and this road here, Escuela Parkway, that's going to be the main way to get in and out. So this is typically fairly busy, so just be mindful of traffic. Let's kind of go more east for now. Um, you have Bayview Golf Club. This used to be called, if you look it up a long time ago, it used to be called Summit Points. This area is a really nice area. It's actually a gated area. So in this part of Milpitas, you may actually encounter, if you're fortunate and have any friends that live there, some of the nicest homes that you will see in the entire city because it's a gated community, very large homes, and they may overlook the golf club. Now, the Bayview Golf Club is a public course, so anybody can go play it. I've played it many, 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 many times. It's a very hilly golf course, so be very prepared for that. Definitely do not walk that golf course ever. You will be absolutely exhausted. So that's not the good course to walk on. As you move more east here too, you're going to see a couple of different things. You'll have Ed Levin County Park, right? One of the few county parks that we have of the region. So it's got a big, nice lake. Lots of people may go here for playgrounds, may hang around, good for picnics and things like that. And you also have another golf course. So Milpitas, even though it's not a big city, has two 18-hole golf courses. Spring Valley, I played also at a lot. I play a lot. This area is one of the best walking golf courses that you will have in the entire bay. It's a little bit shorter than a lot of the other 18 holes, but it's very affordable. It's very very walkable because most of it is flats, and it's great value for what it is. Like tremendous value, quite frankly, for what it is. So that is a good, very very good golf course to be at. Next, as we kind of get back towards the middle, you're gonna have the sports center here on the east part of 680. You have another park which is called Cardozo Park. That area is mostly like baseball fields and big large fields. And then as you move more south, you'll have the other middle school. So Milpitas has two middle schools. You have Rancho Middle School, and then you also have Russell Middle School, which is what we just saw previously. Now, traditionally and historically, Russell is the one that is the better middle school when it comes to a school rating perspective. But Rancho is still good; it's still like 7+, so people are generally okay with that. It really just depends on which part of Milpitas you live in, the type of housing you can afford, and go from there. The other thing that is here, they used to call this, I think, Yellowstone Park, but now I guess they call it Robert E. Brown Park. This is a good spot because it has lots of tennis courts. You can see there's 4 tennis courts out here, so that's certainly a good place for tennis. I used to learn tennis when I was first getting started, when I was 8 years old in that park. Next, as you go kind of the southern parts of Milpitas, once again, lots of Asian markets and stores. You have the Seafood City, and then you have lots of smaller restaurants nearby. Here you have I guess they changed it. It used to be, I forgot what was here before. Now it's like this, I guess, an Indian market. It used to be, I want to say it was like a Lucky's or something before. But you have a few gyms, small gyms, small facilities, a few small restaurants. This is like an older plaza, but you're still going to get lots of lots of restaurants, lots of things to do, lots of shopping and activities there. As you move more west, this is where you're going to see a lot more newer developments. So the history is this. The Great Mall has been here for a long time, and the Milpitas BART station got extended to here about a couple of years ago. But it was also a long project that a lot of people knew about. As part of the BART station ever expanding to a certain area, it is required for cities to build a certain amount of density and a certain amount of housing to be able to support that. Both housing for sale and both housing for rent. And so over time, you have a lot of developments that have been here that continue to also be around this whole kind of perimeter. Now, there is most of it has been built out, but I want to say I think it's KB. KB may have some homes left that they will keep building out for the next year or so. I believe it's like more in the southern parts area. So they will keep still finishing up, but most of it has been built out already. So if you wanted a newer apartment for rent, a newer condo to buy, a newer townhome to buy, this will be in this area. Now you may ask, what was here before? In the past, what was here was actually industrial commercial places. So they used to have a lot of warehouse spaces a long, long time ago. Then they tore it down, took some time, then they actually built it. So that's a little bit of the background about like this whole region. You still have some commercial, like office buildings and like commercial industrial spaces. They are still around here. So they kind of are mixed between the newer townhomes that continue to be built. Great Mall is a very, very, it's one of the original outlet malls that we have had in the Bay Area. It continues to be that way. It's still an outlet mall. So if you don't want to drive out all the way to the Livermore outlet mall, you may just decide to go to the Great Mall. Great Mall also has a nice Dave and Buster's, so lots of events and activities happen in the evening. They have the Legoland, haven't been there, but they also have a Century Theater, Cinemark, Century Theaters out here. So that is in this particular region. You see there's a Trader Joe's here. This is actually a mixed use space. The Trader Joe's is on the bottom. I think the rental's up above, but it's a mixed use space. Fairly easy to get in and out of it because it's not like a huge store or anything like that. Here, then you have the Pines area. This is also some of the areas that some of the most affordable single family houses that you will find in Milpitas. We'll talk about what you can expect price wise later. As you go more west of the highway, as we loop back to the top, most of this here is is commercial, like large office commercial buildings. So for example, Cisco has a big presence out here. You can see all these different companies that you have seen along the highway. They all have offices and branches here, but mainly Cisco is the biggest one. But you also have KLA. They used to call it KLA Tencor, but KLA is here. Western Digital is out here, right? So these companies are all has big presences as part of Milpitas. You can see Cisco used to be even bigger than what you see now, but they still have lots of buildings in next door to it, which I think it's all San Jose. This San Jose kind of loops back again in terms of the areas that it covers. I was thinking maybe it was like Santa Clara, but it's not. And then you go to a little bit to the east, right across from the Cisco building. Then you're going to get one of the best and biggest Asian plazas that you will find in the entire Bay Area, which is Milpitas Square. They have the 99 Ranch out here, right? So there's lots. This whole U shape is filled with Asian restaurants. There you go. Next to it, you also have a very popular dim sum place, which is called Koi Palace, and then you also have the bakery store, a couple bakery stores, a couple more Asian food. Like I said, this is not even connected to it, so this part itself also has a lot of Asian food. Now, as you move more towards the north, this is where it's more American food. You have your In-N-Out burger, which has been there for a long time. You have Big Al's, good for entertainment. You got a Walmart super center, not a regular Walmart store. So that is there. And then you also have more Asian restaurants if you were not tired of Asian restaurants yet. So you got Banana Leaf. You got a, what was out here again? There's one more big restaurant that opened here. That is right here, HL Peninsula. So that's a big chain. Also good for dim sum, good for big events, things like that. That is out in that region. And you have a few kind of hotels throughout. Mainly the hotels here are really supporting all these corporate offices. So those are the ones I would usually choose to be out here to basically support the international or the the business travel that occurs. Now let's kind of go towards the middle a little bit, and then that pretty much ends the map of Milpitas itself. So here you have another plaza, more Asian food. Here is one of the most popular places that you can get. You have Daeho Kalbajim, which is braised beef. You have the Jangsu Jang, which is an excellent Korean barbecue place. You have La Yang, which is an excellent Malaysian place that has been there for a long, long time. So you have a lot of good, more dining options just even throughout here. And then the last but not least, you have kind of the area which is where the city hall is. So if you've ever driven by through Calaveras and Milpitas Boulevard, you have City Hall, very, very nice building. And then you have even more shopping and restaurants. So here you have the Marina Grocery. So as you can see, in Milpitas itself, you got Nine Nine Ranch, Marina, Lions. I didn't even cover Ocean, which is on the other side. You got the Indian grocery stores. You just got there's just so many, and this speaks about the heavy population of Asian people for this kind of density of Asian grocery stores, right? And then you have more restaurants, more Asian restaurants all throughout here. And here is like more. This was one of the commercial plazas that's been around for a while, but they refreshed this. You have a Safeway here. I think you have a Staples out here. You got 24-hour fitness and something that opened up not long ago. You got a Chick-fil-A here that opened up, I think maybe 1 or 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago or something like that now. Okay, so I gave you a pretty good rundown about Milpitas and everything you literally need to do or can do in this city. Let's talk about housing. The median price of a single family house in Milpitas is at $1.7 million, right? So if you want to look at the best places to live in Milpitas, let's take a look at homes that are ranging between 1.9 to 2.6. So you can kind of see where they actually are sprinkled out throughout the map. And when you look at this and you look at all the homes that are red, those are all the other homes that have sold in Milpitas. You may notice that there's generally some level of cluster for them, but it's not as this is not as transparent or clear versus some other cities where it's like, oh wow, if you live in the north, it's all good there. And the big reason for this is, to be fair, there are only certain pockets and areas that actually have bigger homes. And as you can see, like take a look at the sizes of these. So if you went from 2 million plus, like the sizes are, I mean, this was a really small one, 1482, but 1482 to like 3,300 square feet, right? So in general, Milpitas doesn't have those that are that big on average. Oh, I would say the average Milpitas house maybe, given the prices at 1.7, maybe like a 1,600 plus or minus single story house. So Milpitas doesn't have that many big houses, but you can see there are general areas that have better and more expensive homes, and you can see it's kind of in this mid to northern region. And part of the reason is a combination of bigger homes, but part of the reason is also the schools are better. As I mentioned before, Russell is a higher grade school rating than Rancho. And the elementary school of like, you would have Thomas Marshall, which was out here, but also Kirtner would be out here. These would be more for those that live in the north. So those are the main things, but make no mistake, you got other premium homes that also go to the Rancho School District, as you can see in the southeast part of Milpitas. So that's that, right, in terms of the best ones. Now let's take a look at, let's say, things that range between 1.88 to, what do you want to look at, 1.5, right? So if you take a look at that range, there's 28 homes in the last 3 months, and some of them were still in the same areas that you just saw previously. You have a big cluster, and it's kind of spread out, but you don't really see too many like significant patterns, right? And so that's the reason why, in general, Milpitas is like, it's not like, oh, you're gonna live in one area or another that's all bad. In the past, there were some areas that are not as good, but now all of Milpitas is pretty much uh, good in that case. Now, there may be different preferences you may have. For example, if you lived on this side, you may be more prone to the smell of the landfill. But the benefit of this side, as you can see, is you're a lot closer to 880, 237 to get to where you need to get to. Versus on the east side, it's going to be a lot quieter because you're not going to have as much people that have to drive through there. You may not smell anything there. But you may have to go a little bit more of a distance, slightly a little bit further, to be able to get to the other parts, the west parts of Milpitas, and onto San Jose, Santa Clara, things like that, right? So the key about the single family home search is, in general, they're all like, you're gonna have a mix. Some are gonna be really big single family houses around you, but you have a lot of smaller single family houses. Because take a look at this, right? Even at 1.88, this was a huge lot though, but 1,054 square feet. Average lot size, I wouldn't be surprised, plus or minus 6,000. That's pretty average and normal. But you can take a look. The cheapest one was the 1657 one, kind of a weird layout, 3 by 3.5 bath. But you have like these 1,100, 1,200 square foot ones that are here. So that gives you a little bit of breakdown of Milpitas about single family. Let's talk about the condos, townhomes, because there are newer ones. To give you an idea of all the homes I sold in the last 3 months, there were let's look at this together. Let's look at all the homes that are built in the last 20 years. 43 out of 57 homes were built in the last 20 years. This was built in after 2004, right? So this is like a lot of options for people that want a little bit of a newer place. Most cities will not have this, and it was only because they had land back in the day, and also number two, because of especially all these things that are more recent, because of the BART station. These are what has brought this to occur. Because take a look at all the homes that are built in the last 20 years. You can see the areas, right? Very, 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 very clear. It is basically all around the Great Mall. This is exactly what I mentioned before, and it's very, very clear. We have some of the older ones that are be here on the north part, and these are much older, and they're also much cheaper. Because take a look at this. If you wanted a small condo, you can get 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom condos between 560 to 800, right? So it's a really good place if you want to get an entry level place. It still has good schools, between the 5 to 800 for a condo townhome. If you want something newer, you can see the ones that are highlighted. They would be 930 to all the way to 1.6. But the 1.5s plus, those are going to be unusually larger places, because you can take a look at this. These are 2,000 plus square feet, right? These are really, 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 really big townhomes at that point. So that gives you a little bit of a breakdown of what you can expect. Well, I hope you found this super helpful. If you did, you got to be sure to hit that like button, share it with all of your friends so everybody knows a lot more about Milpitas. I personally lived there for a long time, so I know it really, really well. And I just gave you all the individual nuggets of the history, but also the current opportunities that are there. If you want to go over a game plan, I want to be your real estate resource of choice. Give me a call or text 408-547-4590. Book a time on my Calendly link, subscribe, and see you at the next one. Bye now.